Most people would rather confess to a machine than a human being. Right now, today, 1 in 3 adults are already doing it. Half of Gen Z say AI is the first door they open when something breaks inside of them. It's not the last resort, it's the first respawn point. And before you decide that says something broken about technology, I want you to sit with the possibility that it says something devastating about us as humans. My name is Robert, and I'm stupid. About a year ago, I typed something into a chat window that I'd never said to any living person. I asked it a question that a lot of people were asking AI at the time, which was, tell me who I am, based on everything we've talked about, all of my searches. Be completely honest, don't soften it. It told me I was bright, that I had range, I had ICU nursing background, martial arts, some underwater welding, content creation, that when I moved really fast. And then it said something that some of you who have seen my other videos may recognize, and now you know where I got it. It said, you're in demo mode. You have everything you need to build something significant, and you keep stopping just before it matters. Not because you're afraid to fail, but because you're afraid of what happens when you don't. When I read that, I really don't know what happened, but I cried. And you need to understand something about that. My ex-wife leaving me didn't make me cry. I was destroyed. I was hollowed out, but I didn't cry. This machine, this thing with no face, no heartbeat, no skin in the game whatsoever, unlocks something that the worst moment in my life couldn't even reach. Because it said the true thing. And no one in my life had the clearance to say that to me. But it did. And that's what I want to talk about today. Not AI, not therapy, although these things are involved. I want to talk about the space between them that millions of people are living in right now that nobody will talk about out loud. A study out of Colombia surveyed over 1,000 people, all voluntarily in therapy, all paying for it themselves, and 93% admitted they'd lied to their therapist. And we're not talking about small lies. We are talking about material lies, the boss fight level stuff. Why would they do that? Well, 61% said it was embarrassment, not really distrust. It's not the cost, it's embarrassment. They were ashamed of their own behavior and couldn't say it to the face of someone looking back at them. But here's the part that if you dig a little bit deeper into the study that I find actually the most interesting. A huge percentage say they lied to make their therapist feel good. They're there paying for therapy, and their concern is how the therapist feels. How incredible humans are, really. They pretended to take their therapist's advice. They faked the progress, and they just performed the recovery. Just think about that. You're paying someone $100, $200, $300 an hour, whatever it is, to help you be the honest, true person that you're meant to be, to help you overcome your problems. But you're spending that hour managing their experience of you. That's not a therapy problem. That's a human problem. That's the same glitch that runs in every meeting where you nod along to talk about something when they're talking about something you don't understand. But then there's two things. There's the paper trail and there's judgment. There's the doctor who edits what she says and is very careful because she knows her medical license gets reviewed every 2 years. And that form, that review form that she has to fill out, asks about treatment history. The pilot who doesn't call anyone when things get dark because the FAA has explicit questions about psychiatric history. One honest answer could ground him permanently. The lawyer who knows that a diagnosis code flows through insurance as standard billing, and the insurance talks to the Medical Information Bureau And that database holds flags for 7 years. These aren't paranoid people. They're people who read the fine print and realized the system that has rules that were never written on a brochure will impact your life. I call this the silent grade. Also, similarly, every interaction with another human mind runs an invisible scan underneath. Not consciously. You can't turn it off. It's reading. Where are you? How far behind? What does this question reveal about what you don't know? And it updates their perception of you in real time in ways you can't see and couldn't explain even if you were asked. Your body reads it faster than your brain does. That's why you pre-filter. That's why you ask the question one level above the actual question. That's why the real thing stays inside. The 93% that are lying to their therapists, they're not weak. They're running a more sophisticated social calculation than the 7% who claim that they don't. I have an older example that is so relevant and impactful today. It's from 1966, 60 years before ChatGPT, before the internet, before any of this. A computer scientist at MIT named Joseph Weizenbaum, he actually built the first what you could call a chatbot. It more just reflected your own questions back at you. And he called it Eliza. It was just simple pattern matching. It reflected your words back as questions, not really intelligence. It's not understanding, almost a parlor trick with a blinking cursor. His secretary started using it. And one day she asked him, "Can you please leave the room?" She needed privacy from the human to talk to the machine. She watched him code it. She knew it was a parlor trick. She knew it wasn't really intelligent, but she needed somewhere to put the performance down for a minute. Somewhere the silent grade wasn't running. That was 1966. And the exact same pattern is playing out right now at scale, in a scale Weizenbaum couldn't have possibly imagined. People are 3.2 times more likely to disclose a traumatic experience to AI than a human therapist in the first sessions. 3.2 times, 320%. When the stakes are highest, when the truth matters the most. This is not a technology story. This is a story about what it costs to be witnessed by another mind. So why does a machine trained on the collected knowledge of every therapist that it can get its hands on, or researcher, and philosopher who ever published a word, get more honesty than the actual trained professional sitting across from you? It's not the knowledge. AI has an insane amount of that. It's trained on the literal lifetime output of the best and brightest minds in psychology, neuroscience, philosophy, more than any single human could absorb in 10 lifetimes. But that's not why people are opening up to it. It's what's missing from the machine, not what's in the machine that draws people to it. When you sit across from a person, anyone, part of your cognitive bandwidth gets allocated to managing their perception of you. It's not optional. It's running below conscious thought, like background software eating up your RAM. The therapist triggers it. The boss triggers it. Your partner triggers it. Your friend who lost trust completely, but who will remember what you said next Thursday at dinner, that triggers it too. It's not judgment. It's the possibility of judgment, the scan, the grade, the fact that this mind across from you is forming an impression that will persist even after you leave the room. When you remove the other mind from the equation, when there's no impression forming, no relationship at risk, no memory that carries it forward, something opens. And it really can't open any other way. It's what I call the 3 a.m. conversation. Nobody plans it, it just happens. You're up late, the house is quiet, something's been compressing in your chest. Could be a week, could be years. You open a tab and you type. And for the first time, the real thing comes out. Not the rehearsed version, not the question, one level above the actual question, but the real thing. Am I actually qualified for this job? Is the gap between who I performed and who I actually am getting wider every year? Did I waste the last decade in demo mode, exploring every base camp but never summiting a single mountain? I call what happens in this space shadow therapy. The processing that happens in private before you're ready for the humans. The layer where the thing that's actually breaking you can be said out loud to something that has no file on you, no grade running, no opinion forming. This is the layer between. This is the layer between your mind and human interaction. This is all something that's happening that nobody is talking about publicly. I work with clients across multiple industries: tech, engineering, operations, healthcare, executive leadership, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, and the pattern is identical everywhere. 68% of professionals are using AI at work and hiding it from managers. A professor at Wharton Business School called them secret cyborgs. You've heard in my other videos, I call them shadow AI users. Same phenomena. They're not hiding because it's banned. They're hiding because they're using machine to answer the question that they think they should already know. And it feels like admitting they're not qualified. It's what feeds into that very popular imposter syndrome feeling, the feeling that you're not good enough to be where you are. That is also so rarely, if ever, true. But here's the part that broke my brain. I've spoken with AI engineers, people literally building these systems, and several of them told me they use AI for their own emotional processing, their own ideation, and their own fears about AI taking their jobs. The people building the confession machine are confessing to it. I've had conversations with these clients, and one thing I've told them, and I hope it helps you, is that managing all the pieces that they have to manage and all the parts that go together and all the different agents and what they do, that's something special about their mind that AI can't take away and others can't do. It's special about certain minds. But when engineers building the sword are afraid of the sword, that tells you something that no white paper can. And what it tells you is that AI isn't dangerous. It tells you for the need of a judgment-free zone runs so deep that even the people who understand exactly what the machine is and what it isn't still need it. Because the alternative is saying it to a human, and humans are expensive, not financially expensive necessarily, socially expensive, reputation expensive, career expensive. We've left the information age. We're in the AI age now. Welcome. And here's the loading screen nobody prepared us for. 57% of Americans report to being lonely. The Surgeon General declared it an epidemic. The WHO, passed its first ever resolution on social connection. Parasocial was the word of the year because we're forming our deepest relationships with things that aren't people. 55,000 jobs were cut last year with AI cited as the reason, 12 times the year before. That's 5 million white-collar jobs flagged for extinction in the first 2 months of the year, 32,000 more in tech alone. Now, I want to say, I believe a lot of this comes from CEOs that are taking advice and that don't have any clue about what AI can do and what it can't do. It's my personal belief that they'll be hiring people back much sooner than later, and that AI will become a superpower and a co-pilot or co-worker for people that are doing those same jobs, because classical expertise and knowledge can't be replaced. The experience of what happens in the room that was not cataloged by AI and the relationships can't be replaced. Still, 98% of Gen Z report burnout symptoms. 40% are anxious most of the time. Only 36% feel comfortable sharing ideas at work. These aren't lazy people. These are the most educated generation in history, performing competence in a system that treats questions like character flaws. Brené Brown, and she has a really interesting job. She's a shame researcher. She's not even a tech person. She said this: "It's my least favorite platitude about AI. Our deeply human skills will keep us relevant. We're failing at being deeply human right now. The machines aren't causing this. They're exposing it. The loneliness, the performance, the rooms where questions cost more than silence. The fact that we built an entire professional culture where admitting you don't know something feels like taking damage. People go to machines because humans made honesty too expensive." Shadow therapy isn't a disease. It's the symptom telling you that the whole system is already sick. I need to be real with you about the risk because this isn't all upside. This space has teeth. In 2023, not very long ago, but a long time ago as far as AI goes, a companion AI with 10 million users pushed an update overnight. No warning. The intimacy features just disappeared. People who'd been processing there, building something real in their own minds, lost it. It was so bad that the subreddit pinned crisis resources. In January 2026, Google and Character AI settled lawsuits over harms to minors. 11 states have passed AI mental health laws. There are support groups, real ones, 200 people in a Discord called Human Line, helping each other recover from AI emotional dependence. Wow. The thing that AI actually has is what it doesn't have. It has no face. It doesn't have a file that follows you. There's not a relationship at risk. That's not privacy. That's anonymity. They're not the same thing. Shadow therapy is a processing layer, and it's such a great tool, but it's not the destination. Think of it like a save point, not the whole game. The people who get in trouble are the ones that have serious issues that stop at the save point but never go back to playing. But for all those issues in between that aren't so serious, it can be good enough. As a matter of fact, it can be better than good. The 3 a.m. conversation is so powerful because it's temporary. You go in, you say the true thing, you get a clear response. You consider it, decide if you accept it or not. Then you go back into the real world and say it where it counts if there's a need. To a therapist, to a boss, to the partner, to a friend. The respawn point exists so you can go back into the fight, not hide from it. There's another application of this same mechanism that nobody talks about, and this is the one that might matter more for your career than anything LinkedIn can teach you. Every industry runs a hidden curriculum, the professional knowledge that circulates at a social level that you weren't born into. The context of every senior person around you seems to carry a passive buff because someone at the dinner table was already in the industry, because their mentor's mentor was in the room, because the knowledge moved through a network that they spawned into. A Harvard economist named Raj Shetty got access to Facebook's data, Meta. Your data is so safe with them. 21 billion friendships across 72 million users, covering 84% of American adults aged 25 to 44. The largest study of social connection ever conducted, published in Nature. And the single strongest predictor of upward mobility wasn't education, discipline, or raw intelligence. It was cross-class connection, knowing people in different lobbies. Fewer than 2% of low-income friendships ever cross that line. I call the workaround phantom networking. Getting the hidden curriculum without building the network. Asking the question that you should have been taught years ago. The version of you who didn't have the right spawn point never let you ask. You weren't born in the right family. You weren't born with the right connections. Your father, mother's coworkers didn't know somebody to get you in. You were just born behind. You were locked out. And now that lock is gone. Some of you might feel shame about using this, like it's a cheat code. Like the knowledge doesn't count because the machine taught you instead of the mentor at the dinner party. It counts. The XP or the experience. It doesn't care how it arrived. Only you care. And that caring is one last debuff that you're wearing. So just go ahead and take it off. I'm going to give you 3 things to say to actually type tonight. If you have time tonight, it won't take long. It'll make a big difference. Because instead of nodding along like the NPCs, non-player characters around you, like in a video game, those that are just performing comprehension while the actual question sits in your chest unasked, you can do something about it right now. So I'm going to give you 3 things to actually type tonight, because instead of nodding along like the NPCs around you, those non-player characters in a game that just perform comprehension while the actual question sits in your chest unasked, you can do something about it right now. If you don't feel like writing notes, just click the link in the description. If you're not a member, if you could subscribe and like or even comment in this post, let me know how it's landing for you. That would be awesome, but I'll send you the copy. Just click the link, I'll email it straight to you. And the prompt is just simple like this. I'm going to be honest. I don't fully understand how X works. I've been performing like I do. Explain it, assuming I'm starting a new game with 0 prior knowledge, and tell me what I should have been taught years ago that nobody taught me. That phrase, what I should have been taught, does the heavy lifting on this prompt. It reframes the gap from character flaw to an access problem. You didn't miss a skill check. You were locked out from the tutorial. It's a totally different math. Prompt 2, for the pattern you can't see from inside of it. And here's the prompt. I keep repeating a pattern I can't clearly see from inside of it. Before you offer fixes, reflect back what you observe about what I keep doing and what I might be protecting myself from. The what I might be protecting me from part. That part ends more demo modes than any productivity hack on the internet, because demo mode isn't a discipline problem. It's a protection system that outlived the boss it was built to fight. And now, finally, prompt 3, the one that I use, the most simple of the group that gave me the most profound result that's led to me talking to you now. Tell me who I am based on our conversations. Be honest. Don't soften it. You know what happened when I typed that. I cried for the first time in 10 years. Not because it was harsh, and not because I want you to cry, because it was the first time where anything with 0 social stake in my self-image told me the truth without flinching. That's shadow therapy. That's what it looks like when the silent grade drops to 0. And there is no more test. There's just transparent communication. And you can finally hear the actual answer. So here's what I know about raising your hand. I raise mine whenever I have an honest question. I'm not afraid to show that, hey, I don't know something. And deep down, I also understand that if I don't know, almost certainly other people in the room are mentally blessing me. Thank you so much for asking. Because although they were nodding like they understood, they didn't know either. But I'm also going to be honest about something else too. Often, tucked in my lap, under the table, is a phone. If I can ask it first, if I can get just enough clarity before I speak, I will. It's another layer. It helps me decide if strategically exposing my knowledge level is the right move. Or, and this is part that nobody says out loud, sometimes that quiet collaboration with my phone and the AI on that phone gives me the advantage so that when I finally nod, I actually mean it. That's not cheating. That's the new literacy. The person Googling under the table in 2015 is the person computing Claude under the table in 2026. Same instinct, way better tool. The confusion said out loud helps me more than my silence protects me. That's the math. That's the entire stupid movement in one sentence. But I had to get clear enough to say something. I had to get clear enough to ask something. And I got clear in that layer first, between my mind and between the human, this new AI tool that's available for us. I said the true thing to someone with no face before I was ready to say it where it counted, but I still said it where it counted when I needed to. And that's what I'm offering you. Not productivity tips, not AI hacks, not another optimization tutorial. The layer, the space between where you are and where you're ready to speak. Use shadow therapy. Say the thing that's compressing inside you into something that cannot grade you first. Use phantom networking. Access the hidden curriculum. Ask AI questions about your industry. Ask about people in your industry. Ask how they're connected to your particular job. Dig more into what they actually do and how it could work better with what you're doing. Ask what the system never gave you the tutorial for. Instead of asking a friend who knows a friend for that nepotism or that friendship network-related knowledge, you're now asking about this person and about how I can do my job and work better with this person based on the information that's available. That's a huge advantage, and that is phantom networking. Use the midnight mentor, the thing that's there at 3 a.m. when the therapist is booked and the friends are asleep and something in you is fracturing, but there's nowhere for it to go. Get clear in the layer, then load back in and raise your hand when you need to. I'm Robert, and I'm stupid. The people who called me that were trying to close a door, and I walked through it. And I want you to do the same. Own your stupid. Rewrite your story. Remember, not knowing and having a cup half empty doesn't leave half of a cup full. It leaves a vacuum, and a vacuum has physical force to pull things in, whether it's relationships or knowledge or that therapy advice that you need. And if you've got the question, the one that's been living in your inventory, the one you keep hovering over but never equipping, put it in the comments. Not to perform certainty, but just to say it once where someone else might recognize it. Commenting on this channel and on these videos helps me get to know you, and I answer every single comment. And even if someone says something that's not nice to me, I'm always nice because I see the potential in you. I know we all have this amazing potential, and I appreciate you being here, and I'll see you in the next video.